Part 103. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 1025. Reputation looked at Stlankus, who was submerged in the shells and barrages in front of him, and there was no joy on his face. Although Bismarck and others had tried their best to support him, due to the gravity field and repulsion field, the damage suffered by Stlankus from the shell was actually very limited. And the most important thing is that this time Stlankus is not fighting alone, but fighting side by side with 5 other arbiters. One arbiter is already a headache for them, but 2 arbiters are far from as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. There are 6 arbiters here now, and the characteristics of each arbiter are superimposed. It is simply impossible to defeat them in a short time. But no matter what, if you want to win this battle, you must first cross Stlankus. As he thought about it, Reputation's eyes gradually became firmer, and the voices in his memories floated in his ears. This battle is different from previous battles. The crisis in the original world has been lifted, and our future path has been planned, so we don't have to worry too much. Show the courage that a warrior should have, even if it sinks between the sea and the sky, which is also a lucky thing. This is what the company said to everyone before the plan started. It is precisely because of these words that the 2 sisters came to this world without hesitation. Now, looking at Stlankus, who is about to break out of the gunfire, his reputation is high. Putting his knight's sword in front of him, counterattack. How long have we been in the court of Camelot? She was stunned when she was about to fight back. She didn't expect that Reputation would suddenly ask her this question. I don't remember exactly how long we stayed in the court of Camelot. We always stayed there for a long, long time. But now we are in the middle of a battle. Is that right for me to ask this question? Reputation smiled. Yes, we had been in the court of Camelot for a long time. Ever since the battle to invade Zero's host space failed, the space was torn apart, the ocean and the sky were torn apart, and we were involved in the rift. Among them, he has always stayed in the court of Camelot. If they hadn't sent the information, maybe we would have stayed, right? It seems that he has long been tired of fighting and is looking forward to the life of disarming and returning home. Do you think, if we get to that planet, will our life be the same as our life in the Garden of Camelot? It should be different, right? Counterattack thought for a while. When we were in the court of Camelot, there were only 2 of us and we didn't have such abundant supplies. In fact, our life at that time was quite unsatisfactory. But if I think after that planet, maybe it will be more comfortable than it was then. There is black tea and snacks every day, and you can also practice martial arts with others every day. There will be something new every day. Suddenly thinking about it, I feel that my future life seems to be very good, and I am looking forward to it more and more. Reputation nodded. Yeah, so we have to do something. We haven't fought for a long time. When all the arbitration agencies came out, we could all hesitate. But now we only face 6 people, but we seem to be hesitant. Sister. Counterattack was stunned for a moment. Our goal has been achieved, this battle is just. No. Sheng Sheng shook his head. If it were other times, maybe we could say something like this, but now, I can't say it. Ever since I joined Minato and ever since I got together with the commander, although we get together less often, my life is much richer and more colorful than before. I like that port area very much. Whenever I recall every bit of it, I feel at ease unconsciously. Once upon a time, the psychological damage caused by war has been gradually eliminated. Perhaps this is the reason why we are hesitant now. To fight back, how about letting us fight hard again, using the sharp edge of our swords, to swear another oath to our commander and our future life? Sister, my blood is boiling. Then let us fight side by side again and use our full strength to end this battle. The counterattack's eyes became sharp, and it seemed that the fighting spirit that had been wasted by time returned again on her body. Well, then, let's go. After Sheng Sheng finished speaking, the knight's sword in front of her had turned into the shape of flowing lava. It seemed that what she was holding in her hand was not a sword, but a volcano that was about to erupt. Even the sea water around her began to churn, and hot white gas bubbled up. At this moment, Steelenkuz had already rushed out from the gunfire. Although the shield on his body was a little dim, the ship's suit was not damaged in any way. She rushed straight towards the two sisters, just like before. Of course, she also noticed Reputation's giant sword churning with lava. Huh, are you finally getting serious? Reputation. After staying for too long, my body suddenly couldn't keep up. But the real battle has only begun now. Strankuz, let us continue the unfinished battle in Zero's host space. After the words of Reputation fell, he held the giant lava sword and slashed at Steelenkuz. At this moment, Strankuz did not have the confidence to rely on her shield to resist this attack. She directly stretched out her armor-wrapped right arm, turning into a fist and colliding with the famous sword. Boom! A violent explosion erupted from the collision between the two, and a huge mushroom cloud of burners rushed into the sky. The huge waves continued to push outwards. The sea fog that filled the sea area was completely washed away by this explosion. Almost all eyes on the battlefield were looking at the place where the explosion occurred. The strength of the Arbiter and Ember were fully revealed at this moment. Reputation. King George V of Qin Ge looked at the direction of the explosion in surprise. Is this the true strength of your embers? I'm afraid it is. Compared to us now, it is really strong. No wonder the commander at that time responded to such an order. Musashi squinted his eyes and remembered what happened at that time. If each of them exploded with all their strength, then it seems that the previous battle has little to do with us. Rather than this, I'm more curious about why the commander knows they have such a powerful force. Prince Eugen smiled. It seems that he has hidden a lot of things from us. After this battle, he really wants to be tortured one time. Let's talk about these things later. Don't you feel that the existence of the gravity field has weakened a bit? Bismarck said, looking ahead. Yes, although it is a bit difficult, I can successfully control the carrier-based aircraft in the sea area. Enterprise nodded. Well, then let's continue our support operations. Now the battlefield has entered a fever pitch. The addition of any force may reverse the situation of this battle, so let us be that force. Clear. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 1026. Maybe it was stimulated by the reputation, maybe the tentative attack was enough. After a huge explosion occurred on the sea, successive explosions rose into the sky from various places where they met. This battle was not like the previous one in the simulated sea, where I was a little constrained or not familiar with using my whole body's strength. They were all at their peak in this battle. Even if they helped Qin Ge's fleet deal with the arbitration agency before, they didn't contribute much, just for this moment. Qin Ge looked at the increasingly heated battle in the sea and couldn't help but grin. Are they so strong? Commander, are you talking about the arbitration agency? Or are you talking about embers? Asked Guanghui on the side. She was also attracted by the battle in the sea at this time. It was something she had never seen before and was controlled by the ship girl. Ultimate power. Of course it's ember. Qin Ge looked at the sea and said, I thought they would be stronger than you before, but there is a limit to strength. But now I see that this limit is a bit beyond my expectation. If I really want to say that, every one of them will individuals almost possess the destructive power of a nuclear bomb. Haha, Commander Qin Ge is wrong about this. As far as I know, in the world where Commander Qin Ge lives, the most powerful nuclear bomb in human hands is the Tsar bomb made by the Northern Alliance, right? Shi Kung turned to look at Qin Ge and said. Qin Ge nodded, yes, the Tsar Bomba is also called the Big Ivan. It is not only the most powerful nuclear bomb, but also the largest nuclear bomb. Well, the length is 8 meters, the diameter is 2.1 meters, the weight is 27 tons, and the design TNT equivalent is 50 megatons, Akage said in great detail. But Commander Shinji, do you think that if such a TNT bomb explodes, it can destroy the whole world? Shinji immediately shook his head. Impossible. Although the Tsar bomb is very powerful, the energy of its explosion can only destroy a large modern city at best, and spread to nearby urban areas. If you want to destroy the world, I am afraid it will take a long time, numbers in the tens of thousands. Akage nodded, but ship girls can, because the power they control comes from a higher dimensional universe. It's a pity that there are almost no ship girls who can control this power now, but that doesn't mean that they don't have this possibility. The energy in the mind cube comes from a higher dimensional world. I know this. But what kind of energy is it specifically? Just like the energy of this universe, there are energy generated by objects that produce chemical reactions, and there are also objects that produce physical energy. The energy generated by reactions, as well as the energy generated by nuclear fission, the energy generated by nuclear fusion, the energy generated by antimatter, and the energy generated by dark matter, in another higher dimensional universe, the energy of the mind Rubik's Cube is similar to which level of energy? Shinji asked curiously. Haha, this was originally a place for you to explore in the future, but now that I tell you in advance, it doesn't seem to have any impact, Akage said with a smile. In that other dimension, the energy of the mind cube is equivalent to the highest level of energy in the world. In addition, although Commander Shinji spoke in detail about the energy of this world, in fact, there is a more powerful force behind dark matter, but you have not discovered it. But what exactly this energy is, I can't tell you now, because sooner or later you will come into contact with it, and then you will know what the most reliable power in the world is. Shinji was a little tickled by what Shikung said, but he also understood Shishin's character. After all, he had a Shikung himself. What they like most is to arouse people's curiosity and then hang them in mid-air without telling you. If you want to know the correct answer, you must give them something satisfying. It wouldn't matter if it was his own Shikung. If Shinji sacrificed himself, he could still ask some questions. But the Shikung in front of her was Song Kinga's ship girl, so this move was of no use. Shinji had no choice but to look at Song Kinga. As if feeling Shinji's gaze, Song Kinga turned around and shrugged helplessly. Don't look at me like that. In fact, I don't have any research on this thing. Even though I control the source, there are some things I still don't know of. Then can you ask? Shinji said speechlessly. Song Kinga rolled his eyes. Didn't you just think about the consequences? Tisk, okay. Shinji couldn't help but be speechless. How could he not understand what Song Kinga said? Haha, but you don't have to be disappointed. Although the energy and knowledge contained in a universe are endless for us, it is endless for you now. Rather than knowing the answer in advance, would it be better to discover something more interesting during exploration? Song Kinga laughed. Hee, I feel a little incredible when I suddenly hear my dear say such things. By the way, didn't you reveal the plan to Commander Shinji first? Why do you think about it now that the process of exploration is the most important thing? Beautiful, Akage said with a smile, his tone full of joking. Ahem, I spoiled things like that just because I know them. I don't know what you just said, so I guess it's useless to spoil it, Song Kinga said quickly. Then you can ask me. If you ask, I will definitely tell you, Akage said with a smile. Song Kinga's face turned pale. I have already promised you 100 years. If I promise more time, others will definitely protest. The energy you are using now is not what it was at the time. In case of an explosion, if there is a conflict or something, why don't I end it in the end? Shinano on the side couldn't help but smile when he heard Song Kinga's words. Obviously, what Song Kinga said had happened more than once or twice. Although Akage's face was full of anger, he did know his priorities. He had already taken advantage of enough. If he continued to be greedy, he might really arouse public anger. Okay, I'll spare you this time. Song Kinga breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Qin Ji. The two of them had a tacit understanding for a moment. Qin Ji turned around, looked at Guang Hui's snickering look, and couldn't help squeezing her hand. Okay, stop laughing, this is not a big deal in the first place, I think it's good to admit it openly. He, that's right, Guang Hui smiled. Everyone has their own way of getting along with the commander. She was not very envious of what Akage was doing in front of her, because to her, she was already found the best way. The battle on the sea is still going on, and the winner seems not that far away. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 1027. The black iron chain passed through the blue flames, and the end of the iron chain tightly trapped one of Hermit's arms. Humph, Hermit said with strength, Nizana, do you think a simple chain can imprison me? Or have you become so arrogant after all this time? I think you are the one who is arrogant, Hermit. Who told you that I am the only one with a chain? Nizana said. As soon as he finished speaking, another black chain passed through the blue flames and was tightly bound to Hermit's other arm. Hermit looked towards the direction of the chain, and there was Scharnhorst on the other end. The enemy has been restrained. Everyone else, turn to fire and fire, Scharnhorst's voice echoed through the public communicator. And everyone who received this message opened a distance from their opponents at the same time, turned their guns, and waited for all the firepower to be concentrated on Hermit. It's not that simple. Do you think we are dead? Strankus said loudly in the distance, and then raised his hand, obviously wanting to use gravity and Yinli to interfere with the trajectory of the cannonball, providing Hermit with a way to escape. Time. Hey, this is the moment I've been waiting for. Just as Steelenkus acted, a figure suddenly appeared above her head, holding a giant lava sword in his hand, and slashed hard at the raised arm. This action made Steelenkus retract his outstretched arm quickly. If he was stunned for a moment, cutting off the giant lava sword would not only hurt him. Without Stranku's gravity field to block it, countless cannonballs and barrage quickly hit Hermit. At the moment when all the attacks were coming, a tower-shaped guard appeared next to Hermit, causing all the attacks to hit the guard. Humph, do you think that by blocking Strankus, I can let you have your way with me? Hermit sneered. Haha, who said our ultimate target is you? Helena smiled, move the target. Tova's guardian has been used, nothing can stop us. Several arbiters were suddenly startled. Looking at the current situation, they also realized that they had fallen into a trap. What's wrong? Their target is you, Steelenkus, use your shield to defend. Temp Allens quickly reacted, but Steelenkus was too far away from her position. Even if it was if you want help, it's beyond reach. But when she finished speaking, it was already too late. Because the reputation has been waiting for this moment since the very beginning. Just after she had just counterattacked and attracted all the attention of Steelenkus, she held a giant sword and quickly got close to the back of Steelenkus. Too late. The soft whisper was like a talisman to urge death. Steelenkus paused for a moment, and then everyone saw a giant sword penetrating from Steelenkus's body. The lava flowing on that giant sword is just like dripping blood, violent and stunning. But the prestige attack was not over yet. An explosion spread from Steelenkus's body. Along with the flames, Steelenkus's whole body became still. Then, along with the famous sword, it slowly slid to the surface of the sea, and then sank under the surface of the sea. What a trick, In Praise separated from the company and said coldly, looking at Steelenkus sinking into the sea, how long have you been planning for this moment? Plan, Enterprise shook his head. We have been fighting for such a long time, do you think there is still a need for a plan? Which of you has characteristics that we are not familiar with? The reason why we succeeded this time is due to your carelessness. Humph, what you said is indeed correct. I was indeed careless, and Strankus also paid the price for his carelessness. But there are still 5 people among me. Do you think this method will still be useful to me? Empress frowned. Haha, who can tell until the end, Helena's voice came over. Then let's wait and see, Empress snorted coldly. Even though they were talking, no one dared to be careless, and the battle continued. Sister, Strankus has been defeated, what's our next step? Counterattack asked Reputation. Wandering in the battlefield, taking surprise, Reputation laughed. No matter whose battle group we join now, it will definitely arouse vigilance. It is better for us to start casually providing artillery support, and wait until they reveal their flaws. One more hit and you'll kill. Is it like Strankus did just now? Asked the counterattack. Your Reputation nodded. Then let's get started. Just as counterattack and Reputation were taking action, Shinji's ship girls also resumed their artillery support. But despite this, the way Arbiter Strankus fell just now was still deeply imprinted in their eyes. You were so decisive. You caught the moment when Strankus' attention was not on you, and succeeded in killing her with one strike. You are truly worthy of being an ember. Musashi frowned and said, with such strength, it will be very difficult for us to resist. It's difficult. I think we can't resist at all, right? King George V said. Anyway, so far, I dare not say that I can react at once. Indeed, they are worthy of being warriors who fought on the battlefield. Their fighting skills have been deeply rooted in their bones, especially the control of opportunities. To be honest, we still have a long way to go compared to them. Please don't be discouraged, after all they are already too far ahead of us, Bismarck said. Haha, I'm just amazed. I'm not discouraged or anything. And I think it's a good thing to have a goal in front of me, right? New Jersey said with a smile. Yes, Yuxian nodded, but now it is more important to provide fire support, especially now that Stelankus has been eliminated and the gravity field no longer exists. It is time for us to play our role. Just as the battlefield was in full swing, Shinji looked at the people on the side in shock. Stelankus really sank. Yes, under an attack like Reputation, even the arbitration agency cannot bear it, Dreamweaver said calmly, as if the sinking of Strankus was not an unacceptable thing to her. But isn't this a trial? How could it be? Shinji still felt a little unbelievable. For him, such a trial was just like an exercise, but now he saw that the arbiter really sank in front of his eyes. It feels like this is no longer as simple as a trial. Don't worry, this incident has been anticipated, and she will be resurrected later, Song Kinga said with a smile. That's good. Shinji felt relieved. For him, whether it was Ember or Antix now, he would be his helper in the future. If anyone was damaged, he would really feel bad. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 1028. Since defeating Strankus, Reputation and counterattack have completely become free men on the battlefield. From time to time, they would shoot at Hermit, or else they would shoot at Tova, so that the arbiters, who were very anxious in battle, had to pay attention to their offensive. And this situation gives more embers an opportunity to take advantage. After all, compared to the combination of several people in the arbitration agency, the effect of 1 + 1 is far greater than 2. And the combination of warriors like Ember who have experienced the battlefield is not simply 1 + 1 = 2. What's more, under such circumstances, the number of Embers is obviously more than that of the arbitration agency, and they also have constant support from Shinji's fleet artillery and carrier-based aircraft. The arbitration agency's ability to support under such circumstances and occupy a certain proactive position already reflects their strong combat effectiveness and ability to intervene on the battlefield. But no matter any battle, there will be a result in the end, whether it is victory, failure, or a final draw, and this battle taking place on the sea will be no exception. Just when Gneisenau and Scharnhorst were about to take advantage of Hermit's attack gap, they would do the same thing they had done to restrain her before. Unexpectedly, blue flames suddenly rose from Hermit's body, and then exploded in an instant. As the Yuyan exploded, it did not cause much damage to the embers surrounding her, but only made everyone feel dazed for a moment. Hermit's ability is to use the flames to create illusions and attract the deepest emotions in people's hearts. When they were in the sea, they caused great trouble to the fleet led by Bismarck and others. As a result, they couldn't help but use practice bombs to fire at their companions, using the pain to wake up the ship that had fallen into hallucinations. The embers have fought Hermite so many times, so they are naturally aware of her ability. But despite being on guard, with the support of everyone now, the flames that Hermit erupted were still stronger than before and exceeded Ember's expectations. And in just this moment, several main battle arbiters used their own strength to break away from the siege of everyone, and poured all their firepower on the people who were stunned by the flames. A huge explosion sounded in the sea, and the gorgeous fireworks almost completely illuminated the dark Red Sea surface. And after the explosion, the embers that were revealed were all in a panic. Especially Gneisenau. Her ship's equipment was not complete in the first place. She was bombarded by artillery shells without any precautions, causing her ship's equipment to break into two sections, and she was already in a state of being unable to fight. The condition of others was also not good. Scharnhorst's body was covered with scorch marks, and one of the turrets was completely destroyed. However, when they turned around, they did not take into account their injuries, but continued to attack Hermit again. Reputation, counterattack, support Scharnhorst and the others, cover Gneisenau to withdraw from the battle, Enterprise ordered coldly. Even though she was calm and composed, her tone at this time had some fluctuations. Understood, reputation and counterattack speed were not slow at all. Before the company gave the order, they had already taken corresponding actions. They joined the battlefield of several people as quickly as possible and covered the injured Gneisenau away. Battlefield. On the other side, Bismarck naturally saw this scene, and she immediately ordered. Eugen, Egil, you two go and pick up Gneisenau. All aircraft carriers and battleships will provide artillery suppression support. Clear. Prince Eugen and Egil responded at the same time, immediately slid out of the place where the main formation was, and quickly slid towards the direction of Gneisenau's retreat. Although the handover process went smoothly, it was still inevitably disturbed by the arbiter's artillery fire. However, these artillery fires were blocked by Prince Eugen and Egil by opening their shields. Although it was a bit difficult, it did not cause much damage. This is also the reason why Bismarck sent the two of them forward. If they were placed on others without adequate protection, the damage and losses would be even greater. As Gneisenau was sent back to the main formation, the Vestal goddess, who had been waiting here for a long time, hurriedly gave her emergency treatment. How is it? The relationship between Bismarck and Gneisenau is still very good, especially since the other party joined the fleet for him before. This initial impression is good, and they have experienced so many things later. Gneisenau and others are she is a very powerful helper. The injury is quite serious, even more serious than the previous injury suffered by Hai. Now she can no longer continue to fight. As for whether she can continue to fight in the future, there is a big question mark. The female kitchen god frowned. But the movements of his men did not slow down at all. Try your best, but if it doesn't work, even arrange a small team to escort her out of the sea and go to the base for treatment, Bismarck said. It's not an emergency situation yet. With the current situation, her life can be saved. We will wait until the battle is over to discuss the specific treatment, the kitchen goddess said. After a quick negotiation, Bismarck refocused her attention on the battlefield. Although the current situation in Gneisenau made her a little worried, the situation at hand was more critical. Especially after what happened before, both sides seemed to be red-eyed, making the already fierce battle even more fierce. Qin Ji, who was watching the battle from the sky, could see this most clearly. The two sides no longer regarded this trial as an exercise, but a real life and death battle. The ultimate goal is not to resolve hatred, but to do your best to complete your own ultimate battle. With the fall of Arbiters Strenkus and Gneisenau, the ensuing battle became more bloody, and someone would be set on fire if they were not careful. Whether it is the Arbiters' side or the Embers' side, there are constant new injuries. Everyone on the court and Qin Ji as a bystander were all in a cold sweat. This battle has reached this point, and it is no longer about strategies and tactics that can determine success or failure. This is a pure competition of strength. I am stronger than you and can seize opportunities better than you, so I can cause casualties to you. This is a true portrayal of this battlefield. As time went by, the Arbiters fell one after another, and the Embers also suffered a lot of damage, and even sank. But everyone on the battlefield has no time to pay attention to all that, because if they want to win the victory in front of them, they must eliminate these interferences. It's such an exciting battle. Suddenly I feel that being in a high position is not a good thing. It's very difficult to find an opponent who can fight with all my strength. Song Kingas Sheik Hung looked at the battlefield at his feet, leisurely said. Okay, the battle will be over soon. If you want an opponent, I can just take you to other dimensions in the future. Hee, thank you, dear. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 1029. On the battlefield that was originally noisy with artillery fire, with the sinking of the Arbiter and the damage of the Embers, the originally dense artillery fire became sparse, but the movement caused was still not small. Impress, give up struggling. Your companions have no one left to help you. Your joint attack has been broken by us. Now you are not even as powerful as you were when you were equipped with the overload module in the sea outside. Reputation said to Empress, who was still resisting on the sea. As the battle continued, she was the only one left among the original 6 arbitration agencies. It's a joke, you're not much better. Empress looked at the 4 figures in front of him and said coldly. Indeed, despite Ember's numerical advantage and the artillery support of Qin Ji's fleet, some people were still damaged and sunk under the joint attack by the arbitration agency. Now, the only ones standing on the field are Enterprise, Flying Dragon, Royal Ark, and Reputation. But the strength of the 4 of us can kill you, and then we will win the battle, Fi Long said coldly. Ha, you want to kill you? Do you have the ability? Empress said, looking at the 4 old opponents in front of him. Although he didn't say he was weak, he had already thought of a few things in his heart. Point ending. Don't we all know in our hearts whether we have this ability? We have been old rivals for such a long time, don't we understand? Royal Ark said it very straightforwardly. As an old man of the Ember Fleet, it is true that in fact, these arbitration institutions are all old rivals. Even if you want to kill you, you will have to pay the same price, Empress said, and continued to start a new round of fierce attacks. However, facing the attack of the 4 people on the opposite side, as well as the carrier-based aircraft constantly circling in the sky and the artillery fire in the distance that blocked her movement, Empress was extremely uncomfortable and the damage on her body was also increasing. Finally, she jumped into the air, with the huge ship suit on her back, looking down at the people in the company. If that's the case, then follow this world and be buried with the rest, Empress said coldly, and a red flash began to appear on her body. Against the backdrop of her blue and white ship uniform, it was so abrupt and obvious. Damn it, she's going to self-destruct, Enterprise frowned, then bent his bow and fired an arrow, hoping to interrupt Empress's self-destruction with his own attack. But if an arbitration body is determined to blow itself up, how can it be said that it can be easily interrupted? The Enterprise's attack was blocked by a red light shield before it got close to Empress, and an explosion occurred very close to Empress, but the air wave of the explosion did not have any impact on her, and she exploded. The energy accumulation is still continuing, and the speed is very fast. Come together, we must break that defense before she explodes. Otherwise, the world will be over, Sheng Sheng said quickly. She said this not only to the other people around her, but also to Qin Ji's main fleet not far behind her. Just as Bismarck was directing everyone to increase their attack intensity, the injured Helena looked at the scene and chuckled. Don't be so anxious, she can't change the world. What should I say? Bismarck turned to look at Helena. In fact, we have already grasped the weight of victory. The self-destruction of an arbitration agency can indeed destroy a world. As a precursor to self-destruction, the shield that protects it is not as strong as you think, but it is not easy to break it. It's not that simple. So Bismarck, it's time to use your research results, that power will be the key to victory. Helena said, looking at Bismarck. Bismarck was stunned. Having witnessed the battle between Ember and the Arbiter, she didn't have much confidence in her research results, but at this time Helena said that that was the key to this battle. Are you sure? Although my thing is indeed very powerful, is it really enough to determine the direction of this battle? Besides your method, there is no other way now, is there? Although the attack power of Enterprise and others is indeed very strong, Empress has now made up his mind to self-destruct. Both the speed of energy accumulation and the interactive defense are very strong, which cannot be broken by them in a short time. When Helena said this, there was no need to say any more. Haha, don't hesitate at this time. This is our final result. If we succeed, then we will win. If we fail, then this is our fate. No matter what, let us give it a try. Frederick the Great smiled. Bismarck thought for a moment and nodded to Frederick the Great and Helena, then let's get started. Naturally, other people also heard the conversation of several people, and all their eyes turned here in an instant. I saw Frederick the Great opening his ship's installation space and taking out a special device from it. This device looks a bit like a crystal, but it is not an ordinary crystal, but a very large diamond-shaped transparent object, with a strange power surging throughout the body. Is this something you have been hiding in the experimental site? Musashi looked at the device and asked doubtfully. That's right, this is just a converter. The real thing will start soon, Frederick the Great said while holding up the crystal with his hands and dragging it high into the sky. Then he turned to look at Bismarck. Okay, release it, Bismarck, let the world appreciate our masterpiece. As Bismarck nodded, a controller appeared in her hand, and she quickly pressed the button on the controller. In an instant, in the sea outside the core sea area, the tips of several fortress towers suddenly released a dazzling light. And an energy beam was shot out from the brilliance and quickly projected into the core sea area. These beams penetrated the thick sea fog, illuminating the originally dark red sky and sea surface. And these beams of light shone directly on the crystal under everyone's sight. In the blink of an eye, the crystal rotated violently, and after converging 4 beams of light, it fiercely shot out a blue beam of light from its front in the direction of Empress. Hot and dazzling. I saw that beam of light instantly penetrated Empress's shield, penetrated her body, and then shot hard into the sky. The violent energy tore Empress's body to pieces in an instant, and even tore the sky into pieces. Everyone looked towards the sky in shock. As Empress fell from the sky, everyone clearly saw a platform appearing in the torn sky, and several figures standing on the platform. His commander is clearly one of those figures. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 1030. Commander, how could this happen? Just when all the ship girls hesitated, Qin Ji smiled and said, I didn't expect that thing to be so powerful. It can break the barriers of this world. It's really surprising. Commander, is this something developed by our port area? Huang Hui said in shock. Haha, condense the power in the Rubik's Cube, convert it, and release it? It seems that Commander Qin Ji's port area has researched some incredible things. However, such a conversion wastes more of the energy of the Rubik's Cube. You must know that although the Rubik's Cube itself is a carrier, its most practical role is to communicate with high-dimensional energy. The energy stored in it is very limited. To achieve this, the effect is so great that I don't know how many Rubik's Cubes will be wasted. The observer looked at the scene and said with a smile, and she revealed the principle in an instant. Qin Ji shrugged, as the last secret weapon, if you are not willing to pay this small cost, then you really can't be called the ultimate weapon. Haha, Commander Qin Ji is right. If you are not willing to pay the price for anything, then it will be too difficult to do something well. Shi Kong agreed. Yes, so when the battle reaches this point, is it over? The observer looked at Dreamweaver. After all, she was the planner of this trial. Whether it ends now depends on her judgment. According to the original plan, the trial will be completed when Commander Qin Ji captures the 4 strongholds and fortresses, and the subsequent trials will be additional. However, the final result still depends on your instructions, Dreamweaver said. Me, Song Kinga pointed at herself, then shook her head. I came to this world just as a spectator, meeting my former friends, so don't think of me as the leader. And the future road belongs to you. The choice for the future is not in my hands, but in your own hands. Haha, actually I think Commander Qin Ji is very good. Not only does he take good care of the relationship in the port area, but he is not the kind of person who sacrifices his subordinates in order to achieve something. In the near future, he does not reject the development of science and technology, nor does he reject the joining of enemies. I think a commander like this is enough to be the person to lead you in the future. What do you think? Akage smiled. Yes, Commander Qin Ji has passed the trial and has been certified by Your Excellency. We have no objections to such leaders in the future, Dreamweaver said. Then please end this trial. Okay, Song Kinga nodded with a smile and looked at Qin Ji. Then let's go down and say hello to them first, and resurrect the silent ones by the way. Qin Ji nodded and said, this is the best. Song Kinga looked at Shi Kong standing aside. Then I'll leave Shi Kong City to you. Akage smiled brightly, leave it to me, my dear. As she waved her hand, a red light flashed. When Qin Ji reacted, he found that he was no longer on the platform, but appeared on the sea where the smoke had not cleared just now. The ship girl is not far away. Commander, Bismarck and others were stunned for a moment, then quickly stepped forward, but stopped not far from Qin Ji. They looked at Song Kinga and several people from the experimental agency beside him who hesitated to move forward. Qin Ji was not disappointed when he saw this, but smiled apologetically. I haven't told you many things before, and now it's time to unravel the mystery. But before that, there is one more thing that needs to be done. After he finished speaking, he nodded to Song Kinga. Then, as Song Kinga smiled, a white light rose on his right hand, and then with a wave of his hand, several figures appeared in front of everyone, and white light began to spread in the sky. What? Before everyone could recover from the shock of the silhouette that appeared, they realized that after the white light fell on everyone, all the injuries from the previous battle were eliminated in an instant, and their energy was restored to full strength. Status. Thank you, sir. Among the figures who appeared, one walked out and saluted Song Kinga. It was Emprase, who had been penetrated by the light and sunk before. Then she turned to look at Qin Ji. This is not the first time we have met, Commander Qin-ji. No, I will call you my leader from now on. Qin-ji smiled and said, you, the leader in this life, have added a little more burden to my shoulders, but I have already promised it, so maybe a few more points won't hurt. At this time, several people from the company also rushed over. Like Empress, they first saluted Song Kinga, and then smiled and nodded to Qin-ji. So Commander, what exactly is going on? Did you plan all of this? Or did you know all of this from the very beginning? Musashi asked doubtfully. At this time, what happened in front of him had already changed. It was completely beyond her expectation. The Arbiter and Ember, who had just been fighting for life and death, were now standing side by side, and the commander seemed to know everything, and was called the leader by the Arbiter, as well as the man beside him. Indeed, everything made Musashi a little confused. Qin-ji smiled and said to his ship girl, this matter will be very long to talk about. Now I can only tell you briefly. When I have time later, I will tell you in detail. Listen. Just like the introduction to Guanghui, Qin-ji briefly introduced to his ship girl what was going on, but although there was no time to explain some specific details now, even like this, more than 10 minutes had passed. This is everything. The reason why I can't tell you in the end is also here. If I tell you the purpose, then you will lose the consciousness emanating from your heart. This will be far from completing the trial. The goal. I can only choose to hide it from you, so now, the trial is over and everything is over. From now on, the world will return to peace. There will be no more sirens and no more ship girls. Our existence is just a story that the world has forgotten. From now on, we will go to a very distant place and start over there. Together with the ship girls from other worlds, we will bravely explore the universe and bravely make our lives better. Qin-ji looked at his ship girl's increasingly relieved face and said with a smile. I just said that the commander has been secretive on some key issues, and it turns out that he has been planning such a thing. Trials, the sea of stars, the universe, our own planet as a ship girl, these all sound very desirable. Jinhai said with a smile. Well, but now is not the time to talk about this. There are still guests here, and now that the war is over, it is also time to hold a celebration banquet in our port area. To celebrate the end of everything, but also to celebrate the beginning of everything. Qin-ji said, turning to look at Song Kinga. You shouldn't miss such a banquet, right? Haha, what an honor. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 1031. It didn't take long. With the help of Akage, everyone quickly returned to the port area, including of course the people from other camps in the world who participated in the war. When he saw his former enemy standing in front of him, Ren had already been told the result by Qin-ji, but he still felt strange. But we still have to face what we have to face. No matter what the outcome is now, one thing is certain, that is, from now on, there will no longer be a war with the sirens in this world. This is indeed something worth celebrating. As a result, an unprecedented celebration banquet began to be prepared, and all camps even mobilized to send the prepared supplies and various ingredients to the port area through Akashi's teleportation station. While the port area was preparing for the celebration banquet in full swing, Qin-ji didn't seem to relax at all. He was even much busier than during the previous battle. In the conference room in the port area, Qin-ji and the leaders of several subordinate camps, Ember's Enterprise, Helena, Filong and others, as well as Antix's observers, the Dreamweavers and the Arbiters, all gathered here. Today's meeting, well, it's not actually a meeting. It's more that I want to take advantage of this period of time to learn more about the situation in that world. Otherwise, when the time comes, my eyes will be darkened and nothing will happen. You know, if you can't do anything, then you will be disappointed in your hopes. Jean Ge looked at Dreamweaver and others and said. And I heard that many people don't know much about that world. Just like the observers, Hermit, and the others, even Embers know very little about that world, so they gathered everyone together. Get up, this can be regarded as making a vague plan for the future development of that world. Haha, we are lucky that the leader has such an idea. There is nothing troublesome, Empress said with a smart smile. In this case, the basic situation in the universe has been passed on to me by the adults. Let me briefly explain it now, Dreamweaver said, and a huge projection spread out in front of her, which was composed of countless galaxies. Universe. That universe is a vibrant universe. Our planet is located on the outside of a four-armed vortex. The galaxy closest to our galaxy is very far away, so it can be ignored for the time being. Below I will focus on the details of our galaxy. Specific situation. The planet we are on is a Gaia planet. Planet Gaia? What is that? Jean Ge's company asked curiously. Every planet has its own habitability for its species. For example, humans are suitable to live on a planet with land and oceans, and the temperature is basically between -50 degrees and above 50 degrees. Between planets. If the temperature is lower or higher, or if there is a lack of oxygen, water, materials, and other resources necessary for human survival, then that planet will not be suitable for human habitation. On the contrary, for some silicon-based life forms, such a temperature happens to be not suitable for them to survive. This is the diversity of organisms and the corresponding habitable planet. The Gaia planet is a planet where no matter what kind of life form can get the most suitable living environment, and it contains a large number of special resources. It is also the most precious planet in the galaxy. Even according to the information transmitted by adults, some interstellar civilizations regard the planet Gaia as a holy land, and no living creatures are allowed to approach, otherwise they will be endlessly hunted. Dreamweaver said. Looking at the dreamlike planet in the projection, not only Jean Ge, but also everyone present was amazed by its existence. So that's it, so we will live on that planet from now on. Elizabeth was a little excited, and even couldn't wait to go to the so-called Gaia planet. Yes, Dreamweaver nodded, and then continued to introduce, currently, almost all the ship girls who can be transferred to that planet have been transferred, and the non-transferable ones have also been turned into humans, and eliminated things related to the Siren War in the world. So how many ship girls are there on that planet now? Jean Ge asked. According to the numbers transmitted so far, that world currently has nearly 100 million ship girls. Most of them come from the numbered world. The number of ship girls in the main world is about 8 million, Dreamweaver said. His. In addition to Ember and Antiques, Jean Ge and his ship girls couldn't help but gasped, you said there are nearly 100 million ship girls on that planet. Yes, there is nothing strange about this. For a leader, in your world, the total number of people near any giant city circle is almost the same number, right? The observer laughed. Jean Ge touched his nose, but that's just human beings. There are nearly 100 million ship girls on that planet now. These are two completely different concepts. By the way, there is something I want to confirm. Do all the ship girls look the same? Theoretically, this is the case, so the commander is afraid that he will admit the wrong person in the future, Helena said with a smile. Jean Ge quickly shook his head, we all have soul links, so no matter where you are, I can recognize you at a glance. The most critical issue is that this planet must be managed in the future. And it also needs to be developed. You alone are definitely not enough, so more people should be involved. If they all look similar, it will definitely be a problem in future work. Just imagine, if there are hundreds or even thousands of Helena in the scientific research department, it will definitely be a very headache. Hearing what Jean Ge said, everyone present laughed. Perhaps it is relatively simple for them to identify other people. They can easily identify them from the aura emitted and the signals emitted by the radar, but for Qin-Ge, this is indeed a very difficult thing. In fact, leaders don't need to worry about this issue, Dreamweaver said, because before, most of what we relied on were the memes of battleships, that is, the data of enterprises and flying dragons to evolve the ship girls of these worlds. This makes their appearance not too different. But with the subsequent research on the mental cube will continue to evolve, and each person has different hobbies and interests, which will eventually form a variety of individuals. By then, ship girls will be like human beings, with thousands of faces. And it also has its own growth trajectory. Kanyang will be the name of our group, not the previous narrow term. In addition, this issue has been considered before, so in addition to the names of their own ships, it is now more popular for ship girls in this world to give themselves a new name. Qin-Ge breathed a sigh of relief. If that's the case, that would be great. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Ge. Chapter 1032. So in that galaxy, are there other civilizations besides ours? Jinhai asked. Yes, and there are a lot of them. There are many civilizations that are in the exploration stage like us. Of course, there are also some civilizations that are still in ignorance. There are also some civilizations that have gradually fallen asleep. They have passed the development period and are now looking for it cannot move in the direction it should go, so the entire civilization has fallen into a deep sleep. The adults call this kind of sleep depravity. Dreamweaver explained. Interesting, so we and them are on the same starting line now. Who will have a greater say in the galaxy in the future depends on future development, Musashi laughed. It's like this. That galaxy is not a stable galaxy. It is currently at a time when civilization is booming. If it does not develop itself, it will face intrusion from foreign enemies. So although we have ended the war of the past, we may soon usher in a new war. And that war was not fought in the ocean, but between the vast sea of stars and in the endless space. Dreamweaver said. Indeed, if you want to develop, you must need various resources. Although the planet Gaia is valuable, its resources are also limited. We must go to other planets in the galaxy to collect and plunder the resources there to use for our development. In this way, the easiest way is to develop colonization. Bismarck nodded. Does the leader have any views on interstellar colonization? Empress asked. How should I put it? This is necessary for development, but before that, we should establish a simple direction, and we can all discuss it. For planets that have resources but are empty, there is no problem for us to collect resources. However, for planets that have already formed civilizations, we can try to use negotiation to solve the problem in a more peaceful way. After all, the New World always needs to be explored, but tragedies similar to those of the Indians must not occur. Of course, this does not mean that we must maintain absolute peace. If peaceful negotiation cannot resolve the issue and the other party attacks us or does something detrimental to us, we will have to adapt accordingly. Qin-Ge looked at everyone and said. It is indeed the commander. This condition is not a big problem. We have gone through such a long battle. If the problem can be solved peacefully, it is best to solve it peacefully. If it cannot be solved peacefully, then we can only discuss it with the commander. It's the same thing as I said, adapting to circumstances, Fi Long said with a smile. You is quite satisfied with this answer. Of course, the most satisfying thing is adapting to circumstances, Empress said with a smile. Qin-Ge touched his nose. It seemed that there were quite a lot of war madmen among these people. So in future battles in the Sea of Stars, it will be impossible for us to fight with our own bodies, right? After all, our current strength is limited. Even the arbiters are only that strong in the Sea of Stars, Bismarck asked. So we can only build interstellar battleships like those in science fiction novels. This is the case now, but it may not necessarily be the case in the future. Dreamweaver said, the Mind Cube can transform the battleship into what you are now. If we further study its performance, perhaps one day we can transform those interstellar. The battleship also becomes a ship girl. If you reach that step, then you only need to carry out corresponding ship decoration modifications, and you can also become interstellar ship girls flying among the stars. Well, maybe the span is a bit far, right? Shinji smiled. After all, the road to go from an ordinary battleship to an interstellar battleship is not a small step. There is always this possibility. After all, our existence is a possibility. Helena smiled. Right. Time passed quickly after that, and everyone was very interested in the knowledge of the new universe and new galaxies. Especially for the role he will play in the future, he is very interested. But no matter how long the meeting is, there is a moment when it ends. When night gradually falls in the port area, the carnival that belongs to the celebration party finally begins. That's great. I still remember the first time I attended this kind of banquet. I brought several people with me. As soon as I appeared on the stage, I overwhelmed the commanders. Haha, it's a bit funny to think about those days, but it's also a very precious memory. In the banquet hall, Song Kinga stood side by side with Qin Ji in a white navy dress, watching the ship girls passing by in the banquet hall, and said with some nostalgia, haha, if you get bored later, you can come to my place anytime. Scenes like this will never be memories, Qin Ji said with a smile. There must be a chance. Song Kinga laughed, and then he bumped into Qin Ji with his shoulder. Speaking of which, how come I don't see many of your ship girls wearing rings? Qin Ji was stunned. Not much. I saw that there were less than 50. Is this a lot? Song Kinga smiled. I asked, was it because I was not in good health before and couldn't bear those people? Qin Ji rolled his eyes. That's not the case at all. And so far, there are only a few people who have actually had that kind of relationship after being given the ring. Why is this? Since your ship girl accepts your ring, it means that they have given their body and mind to you. Are you still hesitant? Song Kinga said with a smile. Alas, Qin Ji said helplessly, actually, at the beginning, I planned to give Guanghui a ring. After all, the world I originally lived in was monogamous. Maybe this is a moral constraint. Oh, what happens after that? Song Kinga became interested. As you saw later, I made rings for dozens of people, Qin Ji said with a smile. Guanghui told me that it would be unfair to others to only choose to love her, because some of the others were also like her. She also loves me. So after that, I started dating one by one and giving rings one by one. Fortunately, I am not in the previous world, otherwise I would definitely be convicted of bigamy. Ha, can commander's matter be called bigamy? Song Kinga said with a smile. Listen to what you said. Did you give rings to all your ship wives? Even destroyers and submarines? Qin Ji asked with a smile. After all, everyone loves me, so it's impossible to neglect one of them, right? As the saying goes, if I don't go to hell, who will? Since we have already given out rings, let's just give them all away. Song Kinga spread his hands. Qin Ji was stunned for a moment, raised his thumb and said, you are better than me at this point. Haha, you can do it at any time. If you want to get some oath rings now, just ask the tester to help you. You don't have to go to Akashi to buy them, Song Kinga said with a smile. Qin Ji glanced at the ship girls going back and forth. Anyway, let's take it slow in the future. I still have a long time with them. When the relationship between two people reaches that point, maybe it will come naturally. 2. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu Ji. Chapter 1033. So, is there anything else you want to do before you leave this world? I want to go to Donghuang to see my friends. If possible, I just want to go back to the original world to see. Haha, it's an expected choice. If you go to Donghuang, you should be able to go there by yourself. As for returning to the original world, I can help you. Really? I'm just saying. Haha, as long as you exist in the dimension, you can go anywhere. After all, I started by traveling across the world. Thank you so much. No need to thank you. After all the major camps in the world are also notifying their commanders of their imminent arrival. I think there will definitely be many ship girls left, and the transition will take some time. In addition, we want to change the history of this world, so the free time is really good for you to go out and relax. So when do you leave? My original world. Then, can I take the others back to see? Well, I will restrain them and won't let them cause trouble. Haha, wherever the commander goes, there will definitely be ship girls around. This is not something difficult to accept. I also believe that you can restrain them. However, in order to avoid causing large-scale riots, it is best to bring fewer people with you. No problem. Although Qin Ji's answer was resounding at the time, when he thought about it carefully afterwards, it became a big problem for him to take him back. Especially this matter, after the ship girl in the port area knew about it, the development of the matter became more and more beyond Qin Ji's original intention. So Commander, have you decided who to take with you? Guanghui smiled and looked at Qin Ji with a helpless face and said. As Qin Ji's first wedding ship, she never worried about whether Qin Ji would take her. Because it was never necessary in the first place. Sure enough, Qin Ji sighed. Originally, this was a good thing. You could go to my original world to see where I was before, and then go to the new universe together, but the number of places was really limited, and I would give up anyone. It's not good, but I can't take it all, it's a bit of a headache. Moreover, although I have a wedding boat, I can't just bring a wedding boat. It would be unfair to other people. I didn't expect that a good thing would turn into such a worrying problem now, which is really frustrating. Haha, if possible, I can give the commander an idea, Guanghui said with a smile. What's the idea? When Guanghui said this, Qin Ji suddenly became energetic. The commander must have a favorite candidate in his heart, so apart from those few places, let everyone in the port area draw lots to decide the other places. This method is the fairest and will not cause other people to feel disappointed. Even if someone doesn't win the lottery at that time, they will only think that it is a matter of luck, not the commander's favoritism. Guanghui explained. Qin Ji smiled and said, haha, this method is a good one, but Guanghui actually has some thoughts in it, which is not like you normally. He, have you been noticed by the commander? Guanghui said with a smile. There is nothing we can do about it. After all, I don't want to miss this opportunity to go to the commander's world with the commander. Oh, then it's decided. Let's draw lots together. But in order to maintain fairness and justice, I have to ask the observer, Qin Ji said. Just after Qin Ji told the observer about this matter, the observer smiled very happily and immediately agreed to the matter. So next, under the gaze of everyone in the port area, the observer waved his hand and scattered about 600 light balls into the hands of the port ship girl. And the result of this lottery has a clear answer after all the ship girls opened the light balls. Some are happy and some are sad, but in terms of the outcome of such things, some people are always disappointed, and there is nothing we can do about it. Finally, after stepping through the portal opened by Songkinga, Qin Ji, wearing casual clothes, started the journey back home with the lucky ship girls. On the New Jersey riverside, a flash of light flashed, and dozens of figures appeared here. Perhaps due to the illusion that Akage blessed before coming, the sudden appearance of dozens of figures did not cause any movement here. Others were still doing their own things. Commander, is this your world? It doesn't feel much different from the other world. I thought there would be very developed things as the luckiest destroyer in the port area. Pompeo was alert for a moment. Looking out. Looking at the familiar bridge and scenery, Shinji nodded excitedly and pointed to a place not far away. Yes, this is the place where I left here. Look there, there was a little boy who fell into the river. It was because I saved him that I went to that world. Perhaps from that moment on, my destiny it's already changed. Master Hero is really a kind person. It seems that no matter where you are, you have left behind your heroic deeds, Breast said to Shinji with admiration. Shinji touched his nose and said, this can only be regarded as an act of righteousness. I didn't think too much at the time. I just watched the child fall and rushed down. Although I sank into that world, fortunately that child got rescued. But let's not talk about that for now. Let's find out what time it is now, and then find a place to settle down. Otherwise, we will have to sleep on the street at night. After all, my household registration has been transferred to the army at that time. Went, as for you don't have any household registration at all. Hee, don't worry, Commander. If we go by what you said, then our technology is far ahead of this world. It is very simple to create files and modify household registration. So leave all these things to me, my sister. As long as you have my sister by your side, everything will be fine. Atago said with a smile. That's true, but it's better not to cause any violent reactions. My home is in a nearby suburb. Of course, if the house there hasn't been demolished. Shinji said with a smile. Just when everyone was smiling, a shout not far away suddenly attracted everyone's attention. Someone save my child, he fell into the river. Hearing this voice, Shinji was startled and looked quickly in that direction. I saw a woman crying and standing by the river, staring at the child struggling in the river. Commander, we. As a ship girl, Enterprise wanted to save people immediately, but at this moment, she saw something incredible. I saw a figure in a white navy uniform running over quickly, untying his clothes and throwing them on the ground, while quickly jumping into the river. Commander. Everyone looked at the familiar figure and looked at Shinji in disbelief. It turns out that we arrived early. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 1034. Commander, do you want to save me? Looking at the figure gradually struggling to sink into the water, Guanghui asked reluctantly. Musashi smiled instead, if you save us now, then it is very likely that we will disappear. Everyone was stunned. If Shinji was rescued at this time, would he still have his experience in another world? Shinji smiled and said, well, the end of one journey is also the beginning of another, which is also a good thing. At least now I know that you also care about me when I go to another world. The commander is open-minded, Bismarck smiled. Shinji shrugged, okay, now that the time has been determined, things will be easier to handle later. Let's go home together first and pack up the things we had before. At least it is proof of my existence in this world. But I just don't know if the place where I live can accommodate so many of you. Hee, sister doesn't mind squeezing in with the commander, Atago said with a smile. Everyone smiled, and Shinji couldn't help but shake his head. He was used to this kind of love. Shinji's home is in the suburbs. He originally planned to take the bus or rent a car, but after thinking about it, he found that there is no currency in this world, so he had to give up this plan temporarily. A group of people walked along the road, laughing and chatting as they walked towards the suburbs. Fortunately, Shinji's home was not far away, and even walking did not take too long. It should be said that Akaga's illusion skills are very good. As a group of people were walking on the road, no one felt that anything was wrong, and no one even looked back. Even after arriving at the village where Qin Ji lived before, the acquaintances he met just glanced sideways and hurried past without paying any attention to the appearance of Qin Ji's group of people, as if the two sides were in different spaces. Although he felt a little disappointed at not being able to say hello when he met an acquaintance like this, Qin Ji felt much calmer when he thought that soon his death would be known to everyone in this world. What he misses most in this world is this home, and of course there are some friends and companions, but it is better not to let them know such news. After all, his appearance here is considered a very supernatural event. Stopping at the door of a large door, Qin Ji looked at the locked door and took out a key that had a very aged look from his pocket. This key was brought to another world by him, and then accompanied him from that world for 7 or 8 years, and now he was brought back to this world. However, although the key has some age, it does not affect the opening of the door at all. As the door was opened, the scene in the courtyard appeared in front of everyone. It's a very simple Chinese-style courtyard. Although some dust can be seen in the gaps between the eaves, the ground is spotless, as if someone had cleaned it this morning. Taking a deep breath, Qin Ji stepped into the long-lost courtyard. Everything here was exactly the same as in his memory, as if he had never left. "Come in." "What a warm courtyard," Guang Hui said with a smile, following Qin Ji's footsteps and walked into it. "Indeed, even though I have never been here before, when I first saw this yard, I felt very at ease, as if I was back in the port area." "Maybe it's because of the commander," Veneto laughed. Said. "Haha, when I was in elementary school and middle school, I still stayed here a lot, but after I got to college, I spent a lot of time in school," Qin Ji explained to the ship girls as he walked and watched. "It seems that the commander has many good memories in this yard. If possible, you can tell us about them then," Enterprise smiled. "Certainly." Amid laughter and chatter, everyone walked in through the door of the atrium and saw a family photo hanging in the middle of the room. A middle-aged couple is surrounded by a wheat-colored child. The three of them are standing on the beach, with the endless sea behind them. The other furniture is very simple, including a TV, a coffee table and a sofa. The most eye-catching ones are the 2 bookshelves placed next to the coffee table. The bookshelves are filled with books, but in one of the gaps are models of a destroyer and an aircraft carrier. "As expected, it's very simple," Musashi said with emotion as he looked at the scene in front of him. "Haha, he is a boy after all. It is easier to deal with," Qin Ji smiled. Yuxian stepped forward and was attracted by the model in front of him. He took the destroyer placed on the bookshelf in his hand and said to Qin Ji, "Commander, why is this ship's hull number the same as Anshan?" "That is the domestically produced 0.55 million ton large destroyer Nanchang. Her hull number is inherited from Anshan, so you will feel familiar," Qin Ji explained. "As for that aircraft carrier, it is the Liaoning, and its hull number is 16. I remember I should have told you her history before, right?" Soviet Rosia, who was on the side, approached and picked up the Liaoning ship model, and sighed meaningfully. Who would have thought that the Unbreakable Alliance would be in such a situation, and that such a valuable national weapon would be sold as scrap metal? Haha, I heard someone say something like this before. Alliances are meant to be broken. This has been true since ancient times. After all, if we can unite everyone, there will definitely be benefits, and if those benefits are not enough to maintain the existence of the alliance, then there is no unbreakable alliance. Qin Ji smiled. But now is not the time to talk about this. We have walked such a long way and everyone is tired. Let Bifa make you some tea and have a rest first. I will go to the room to get some money and buy some food from the nearby vegetable market. Let's all feel aggrieved today. After I go to pay homage to my parents tomorrow, we can all have fun in the city. Master, you can tell me where the vegetable market is, and I can just locate it. You have walked such a long way just now, so you should take a good rest, Belfast said. Ha, it doesn't matter. I can rest assured that you are at home. As for buying groceries, Yuxian can just go with me. Qin Ji shook his head. Okay, Yuxian directly put the model in her hand on the bookshelf. Compared with looking at the model, shopping for groceries with Qin Ji was more tempting to her. So everyone dispersed, resting and watching TV, just like in the port area. There was no difference. While Qin Ji and Yuxian were waiting for the dishes to be bought, some people with some cooking skills went to the kitchen with Yuxian to help cook. As for the others, they were sitting around Qin Ji, drinking tea, watching TV, and chatting. No one would feel bored in such a leisurely day.